The last few months have been very powerful and transformative for me. I don't know how many of you follow the talks online. But if you want to stay current at all, you should probably listen to them. I'm not going to repeat everything I said a few weeks ago, but the general idea of one of the talks was that I had oral surgery and nitrous oxide, and the nitrous oxide took me on a unexpectedly powerful journey that mimicked in many ways the LSD journey that started my whole spiritual search approximately 50 years ago. And the key element of that experience was, the nitrous oxide experience, was that 50 years of spiritual work had done nothing at all to prepare me for what was essentially, at that moment, an experience of the approach to what I felt was a kind of reduction into digital form. Ones and zeros, or one and zero. And it felt singularly not human and totally disinterested in me or the journey I had been on all these years. And it was incredibly depressing. And to update you a little further, I was then having a conversation with my son Josh, about a week or so later, and was telling him this story, and he said very calmly to me, he said, "Dad, you know, it's only a story. It's just a story." And I went, and it's like, I kind of realized, in many ways, what I've been saying for many years, that it's all a story. Everything is a story that we tell ourselves. And then I began to feel my way into something Rudy and many teachers teach us, great teachers, that in the end there's nothing. It's not even ones and zeros. There's nothing. That all of this emerges out of nothing, meaning anything we could comprehend as something. And there's no way to get your mind around nothing, really. So it's a concept that just sort of leaves you feeling, I guess, empty on some level, but that isn't exactly what happens. The experience I had in approaching nothing was a whole new level of what I would call liberation. And the ongoing unfolding from that moment has been powerful. The biggest thing to disappear from my life, and in some ways implicating all of you because it is at the core of the teaching, is the realization that absolutely nothing I teach you is true. Nothing. Nothing I teach you can carry you into nothing. Because anything you hold on to, that either I am teaching you or any of the great teachers would teach you, will carry you to nothing. Because as you enter nothing, you have to let go of everything. Rudy called it surrender. And you will be shocked to discover in your deepest surrender that you are probably holding on to some idea or concept of what's going on. You are somehow trying to translate the experience of dissolution into something that makes sense, and all I can tell you is it does not make sense at all. There is no sense. Life speaks to me continually from every direction. And the science section of the New York Times last week was talking about Pythagorean theory and the theory that everything reduces to ones and zeros. And then there became the discovery of what's called irrational numbers. Now, I'm not a mathematician. I don't know for anything about what irrational numbers are. But it hit me so strongly that the rational mind is insufficient. And that the irrational mind is something we find very hard to embrace. And yet, to go even beyond the rational and the irrational, you move into something that has neither reason or non-reason. It has nothing. Simply nothing. In meditative spiritual terms, we're all sitting here trying to do something. We're all sitting here trying to find a certain state of stillness, or silence, or quietude, or peace, or tranquility. God knows we have a lot of names for it. And honestly, that quiet and stillness which arrives in meditation, if only temporarily, is a real indication and entry point into nothing. In fact, it appears to me that it goes so much deeper than that, because even our stillness has qualities. Qualities that we identify with, like that feels good, or the release of suffering and tension and drama and worldly involvement. It's so good to let that go. But stillness for most of us is reactionary. It's the freedom from that. Whereas true nothing isn't the freedom from anything, because there's nothing to be free from. Talking about this kind of doesn't make sense, because everything I say, part of you in your mind will latch onto. Oh, I get it. Oh, I get that. Oh, yeah, right. But that's all wrong. Because if you try to hold on to that, it's automatically obstructive on some level. And the journey into nothingness, which we're all on, by the way, and which you cannot stop at all, is something you can either do with, if you will, preparation and elegance and grace, or inelegantly, gracelessly, struggling and fighting against it all the way. But nothing will stop it. What's so fascinating is that in order to become nothing, you have to surrender the thing you have become, which is something. You've all become something. Not only have you become it, you fight with every ounce of your energy to sustain it, and to manifest it, to build it, to give it meaning, to give it power, to give it authority, to give it content. And what's so interesting is that's exactly what you're supposed to be doing. Being born out of nothing is the core mystery. There is nothing more to be said about it. There's nothing I or any great teacher or lesser teacher can tell you about how this happens. Where does this come from? I can only tell you that as an artist, I'm a writer, but any artist, painter, musician, dancer, actor, I don't care what your profession is, it could even just be a living human being. In fact, it is that. It's all of that. But the thing I really came to, I was having a dialogue yesterday with Joe Madry, who you may or may not know is trying to write my biography as part of a way of introducing all of these talks that I give every week that are being transcribed and will at some point be a book or series of books. And it's interesting because it traces this journey. And as we were talking yesterday, I was talking about my experience in high school of standing on an empty stage in an auditorium. We had a huge auditorium in high school, 1,600 seats. And this vast stage, which was bigger than our gym, it was really huge. And I would often go in there in the afternoon and nobody was in there. So there were just the lights in the auditorium lighting the staircases and this one light on the stage, which is traditional. And I would bring a ladder from off stage and I would just put it on the stage. I don't know why I had a ladder, but it was really important to me. And I tried to be there, and I would look at the emptiness, almost emptiness of the stage, because it had a ladder and it had me. And what I kept feeling, this thing that wanted to rise up, that wanted to present itself to that 1,600 empty seats. I cannot define that urge, but that urge is the urge to manifest, to create, to make something out of nothing. And each of us has been created out of that and contains that urge to make something happen. And we get thrown into this world of creation, of the manifested world, as participants in that manifesting. We are here building this, whatever this is. And we're all trying to figure out, what is it? And at some point, it can happen early on, you go, oh, it's the world, it's life. I'm in life. And now I got to do this, I got to get a job, I got to go to school, I got to get married, I got to have children, I got to do this, blah, 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 blah. You go on and on and on, and you don't even think about what life is, you're just in it. And you're just part of this enormous building process, but the wonder and the question fades away. It's just, oh God, another day. This alarm clock goes off, got to go to work, got to get dressed, brush my teeth. And it turns into this incredibly repetitive, knowable, mundane, dull, occasionally stimulating experience. But it is so far removed from what it truly is, which is an expression of the unknowable truth. And the fact that you have any idea what this is, that you think you get it, it might be the highest theological idea imaginable, or spiritual idea, or it may just be a mundane idea. I'm here to make money. I'm here to get rich. I'm here to be famous. I'm here to have fun. Whatever it may be for you, from that to I'm here to transcend and rise into the sphere of endless bliss and love. All of that's bullshit. It's completely wrong. It's not completely wrong. Let me put it that way. It's completely right in terms of the dimensionality that we're in. In the manifested state, all those ideas have validity. But get quiet enough, deep enough, let go of all of these ideas and preconceptions, let go of all the concepts, and God knows that's hard to do. But practice that, which is meditation. Let go, let go, let go, let go, surrender, surrender, surrender. And you begin to discover that you really are doing that you really are letting go of the stuff that's defining you, that you hold on to, that somehow forms and guides you in through the world. This is all wonderful and essential in the world, except for one core problem. It's nothing. It's nothing. It's going to go like that, possibly that fast, or maybe slowly. One way or another, it's going back to what it was. The journey to sustain it, to manifest, to cooperate with the drama of keeping life going is unbelievably charged. And it does not happen without unbelievable effort. Daily effort to build, to love your children, to love the people you work with, or to hate the people you work with, or whatever your drama is. All of that's part of this whole worldly experience. Go to war, find truth in war. Whatever it is, whatever's going on here is very purposeful and very dynamic and fills this space with so much energy. And it's exciting and it's terrifying and it's brutal and it's beautiful. It's all that stuff, all happening here, and it's happening in a space of nothing. So what do you do with that? Even if you believe me, I don't know that many of you believe me, but if you believe me, the fact of it is so profound, because here you are in this world of nothing, totally devoted to it, or partially devoted to it, or you kind of care about it, or you don't want to leave it. You certainly don't want to stop breathing. That's usually the big one. But you're here. And I have, over the course of time, through my teacher Rudy, through the efforts I've been making, opened my heart in a very, very big way. So I'm able to love a lot. And I'm able to feel love. And I'm able to love each of you. I'm able to love my family. I have, as you all know, an enormous attachment to my grandchildren. And that love is so profound, and it comes out of nothing. But the fact that it comes out of nothing almost makes it more profound. How does this happen? How is this love, this quality of being, imaginable? Of what is it created? How does this come into being? How does this room come into being? How do we gather here together in this space to even talk about this thing, which people are not doing everywhere else in the world today? I mean, people are going to church perhaps and finding a path toward their vision of truth, but here we are gathered to talk about nothing. And this nothing has such profound quality. It can be existentially terrifying. It can be sublimely beautiful. That's what we're all in this thing together. And all I can try to tell you is that the fact of it having no substance does not belie the truth of how beautiful and how amazing it is. The fact that it is temporary, that it is not going to be here long, is what gives it its amazing, wondrous aspect. To miss that is the tragedy of life. To be here and not at all experience the wonder and the beauty and the gratitude and the amazement is the saddest thing imaginable. And so, in a sense, this meditation we do has two aspects. One is it brings you to the stillness that allows you slowly to unravel your attachment to your own personal drama, so that you can start to see through the veil of obscurity that your own mind has thrown over you, between you and the world. You can start to see the world. When you start to see and feel the world without the filter of you, the experience is dynamic in ways it's hard to describe. You will suffer and enjoy life in ways you never dreamed, because it's no longer being broken down into something that's digestible. It's coming at you full force. And it is a heavy and enlightening experience. To touch life raw every day, every second, is unbelievably dynamic. And awakening and enlightenment does not awaken you into a state of otherness, of something different. It awakens you to this very thing, to life as you're living it at this very second. That's all you get. You just get it without the filter. You get it pure, direct. And for all of its force and all of its power, you also get the background noise, if you will, or the background awareness that it has no absolute or ultimate substance. It's a temporary moment to touch the infinite. You'll touch it through love, you'll touch it through fear, you'll touch it through hope, you'll touch it through your work, you'll touch it through children, you'll touch it through your partners. It's literally, and I use the word touch because it's really, you do touch it. You touch life. You inhale life. You breathe it. You smell it. You taste it. You see it. It's an extraordinary thing, and every one of us is doing that. And how many people are aware that they're doing it? Rudy used to say to me, he'd say, there are days he doesn't realize or remember he's here until like 3 in the afternoon. And how terrible that is. To have to wait till 3 in the afternoon to remember, oh my God, I'm awake and I'm here, I'm alive. But you know, the tragedy is there are people who never, ever, ever do that, let alone at 3 in the afternoon, who never wake up to being here, to being alive, to being part of this remarkable, manifested whatever it is. Buddha said, and I've been saying this a lot recently, out of 1 million people, 2 will awaken. And all I keep saying is, why does anyone not choose to be one of those 2? Why would you not choose that? My feeling is everyone in this room is here because something in you wants that. You want to be one of those 2 people. And there's no reason it can't be everyone in this room, because 2 in 1 million, there's a lot of people on this planet. Everyone here can have that. My goal, should I be able to actually have a goal like this, is that every one of you would be that 2, one of those 2. That you would suddenly just surrender so deeply that your personal story, your drama, your obsessions, your mundane desires will just kind of step aside. Let's put it that way. They don't have to disappear. They just step aside. And there you are, one-on-one with what is. And it's not, you can't even call it one-on-one because that implies 2. One-on-one. But there's no 2. There is no 2. You let you fall away, and the discovery is you're this pulsating, living, vibrating, sky-filled, tree-growing, human-existing thing. That's what you are. You are this very occurrence. How does that make sense? It does not make sense. How is it understandable? Not understandable. You can try to make sense of it. It's part of what human beings do, and you may end up writing poetry about it. I saw an opera and 2 plays in the last 3 days. Every one of them ending up with basically, this is all there is, be in the now, or the idea that through purgatory, you can find your way into truth. Why are these three operas? They're so talking to me, but they're the work of artists trying to explain what I'm trying to say to you through their art. Every artist, true artist, on some level, I think, is trying to get at this, feel their way at it. Some really pull it off. I always talk about Rumi's poetry, because something about Rumi's poetry, every so often you read a poem with Rumi, and for a second, you go, oh. You see a play, certain plays, just the end of the play, you just know life in a way you didn't know it before. Do you hold on to it? Mostly not. But for the moment you get it, it was worth it. That's why we go to great art. That's why we go to listen to great music, because it says something to us. Even lesser music says something to us. You know? What's the big song of last year, the Disney song, Let It Go? You know, Let It Go has a great message. Let it go. That's everything in life is trying to get through to us on some level. And we put it into categories, and we diminish it, and we analyze it, and we intellectualize it, and we do all these things to it. And basically, we prevent ourselves from actually knowing the truth of this oneness with what is. And then the truth that underlies that, which is there's no substance to it. You know, I used to describe why rainbows are so beautiful. Rainbows, I mean, I know this is like bad 8-year-old poetry, but a rainbow is so beautiful because it doesn't last. It's only there for moments. And you can snap pictures of it, you know, you can draw pictures of it trying to hold on to it. The only thing that's beautiful about a rainbow is its impermanence. This incredible, dazzling display that's going to go like that. Each one of us is a dazzling display that's going to go like that. Some of our stories are really kind of shoddy and not quite interesting, really. And you know, you look at a lot of people's stories and you go, oh my God, what a waste of a life. To the larger scheme of things, every story has a dynamic. And the great playwrights, that's what I love about them, they take the most shoddy stories, the ones that people would walk by on the street and go, what a wasted life, and they make them into something of true poetry. Because they understand that every manifestation, every form that comes into existence is a wonder. It's a wonder. Sometimes you have to have ugly stories to discover beautiful stories. You have to have contrasts. You have to have alternations. Sometimes you have a life that's going so beautifully and it falls apart. Sometimes you have a life that's fallen apart that finds itself. You know, and the story's not over, honestly, until it's over. So some people's lives look like they end badly, and then there's a journey at the end of life. I mean, I'm telling you this without knowing it to be true, although it feels true to me. Your life ends, and then there's this journey, which is the ultimate journey of your life, back into nothingness. The unraveling of your mundane, stupid little existence, and you return to the unknowable, ineffable, inexplainable truth. And somehow your life, going back into that, takes on an aspect that you cannot know when you're alive, really, unless you've been practicing meditation and practicing letting go and practicing surrender as a regular part of your life. If you've been doing that, the journey at the end of life becomes your journey through life. And if it's your journey through life, you get to go through this in a state of amazement. If you wait to the last moments of your life, amazement comes after the fact. And it's sort of sad on some level because you could have had it here. You could have walked through life knowing, with your eyes open, with the secret available, with the truth shining through, and a state of gratitude and wonder as your constant companion. But even if it just happens at the end, The most dismal lives can become ennobled by the fact that they were lived. Just the fact that they were lived. And I believe, without any grounding for this, that in a way every life is celebrated. Every life is a struggle against unbelievable dynamic obstructions. And anybody who lives a life has done something amazing. So, what's going on for me now is I can't turn it off, kind of. It's like ongoing instruction, if you will, ongoing involvement in the beauty and the horror of existence. Every part of it is speaking in such loud terms to me. It's brutal, basic elements of existence with the transcendent, all wrapped up together, separating, coming together, combining, becoming, announcing themselves in different ways. Some moments are just beyond belief ecstatic, some moments are pure suffering, but they're not mine. They're not Bruce's. They just are. It's what life is. I can't tell you why it is any more than you can tell me why it is. I can't give you an answer. I can't tell you what we're supposed to do with it. I can only tell you there is a path that I learned through Rudy that I am sharing with you, which is sit still every day. Allow that stillness to inform your existence. Watch what surrender does as you really do it, as you really let go. Watch what it does. Watch the liberating element. But be prepared that it will in time take everything. It will take your name, your personality, your personal achievements, everything. Your understanding, your concepts, everything will be taken away, and what you will be left with is this, until that too is taken away, and then we'll see where we are. I can tell you there's philosophies that tell us you'll be in consciousness, you'll be in infinity, you'll be in truth, you'll be in bliss. We'll talk. For the moment, prepare for nothing. Prepare for nothing. So, from here on in, this is what's coming through. And for those of you who hear this and feel that you don't want to be nothing, or that being nothing is somehow abhorrent on some level, then don't come here. I keep feeling that when I make these speeches, the class will just keep getting smaller, and that people will go, why do I need this? And I totally get that. I totally get it. And if this is proving to be information you don't want, go find the information you want. It's out there. You'll find stuff that makes you happy. You'll find stuff that speaks to your sense of what you need to live on or by or with. And I'm not going to give that anymore. I'm just going to tell you what I see. And if it speaks to you in any way, then listen. And if it doesn't speak to you, click. It's very easy. And I've said this before, if I come upstairs and nobody's here, it doesn't matter to me. I'm still sitting with all there is. And if you are here, my heart will break, and you'll get every ounce of love that pours through. Questions?
Well, there's the two things. So you just said, I'm sitting with all that there is, but all there is nothing. So that, again, was a little...
Your mind will never grasp that.
Yeah.
Never.
So then the other thing is, if nothing is the ultimate, so to say, then why is taking one's life not just an entry, why should we not just all take the blue pill and just go?
if you're led in that direction, go for it. But I don't think it will give you what you're looking for. You can't get to nothing via ending rapidly or unexpectedly or suddenly the enormous somethingness of your life. The very thing that pushes people into trying to get to nothing is the very thing that entraps them. And you will remain entrapped. That's my belief system. Look, maybe that's an easy way out. You know, a dear friend of mine did that. He committed suicide. Came back to his girlfriend at night in a kind of dream. And he said to her, I never knew that in killing myself, I was going to die. And that has haunted me for years. You know, I can't tell you that I understand that exactly, but I know from my own sense of how this works that the journey to nothingness is a conscious journey. It's not a choice to suddenly end it all, because you have no idea how to end it all. The mere desire to end it all is such an act of ego mind that it doesn't destroy ego mind, it amplifies ego mind, and suffering only intensifies. I had to go look at the body. I had to identify his body, and it was somebody who shot himself through the head, through his mouth. I've never seen such horror on a face, ever. There was no release. There was no finality in this. This was just a journey into a kind of deeper suffering. So I don't support that idea. I understand it. I get why somebody would do it. I understand how someone is led to it. And I do think, ultimately, even they enter into the nothing. But I think there's a journey that goes on beyond this. I mean, that's my experience in the times that, much too long a story, but in the times that I've died, let's say, I've watched that journey, and it's very classical. There's heaven, there's hell, there's dissolution, there's demons, there are angels, the whole thing, the whole panoply of stuff appears to go on, pretty much according to your programming. It goes on, but all they're doing, and Meister Eckhart said this, one of the great mystic theologians of the 1600s, and I quoted him in my film Jacob's Ladder. He said, if you're afraid of dying, you'll see demons tearing you from your flesh. If you're not afraid of dying, you'll see angels freeing you from the earth. They're the same creature. But the dissolution process, which is what we're practicing right now in sitting still, the letting go, the surrender, is what we're doing every meditation, bit by bit by bit by bit. Imagine having never done this and coming to the end of your life, either your own choice or it just happening, earthquake, cancer, whatever it is. You get to the end of your life, you're at the final stage, and then this letting go thing has to start happening, but with no preparation, no knowledge, no awareness of the process, and there you are, like, now, do it now. And the fabric doesn't unravel that easily. And so there is, even in death, according to my theology, you can trust me, I may be 100% wrong on this, but if it's the way I think it is, everything you're learning to do here, you have to do in what is a timeless moment. Meaning, time stops, and there's just this unraveling, and nothing you can do to change it. Nothing. No growing, no learning curve, nothing. You just watch yourself be, you watch everything you know, trust, love, and believe taken away. And you can either do it with, or, no, not me. It's kind of it's based on who you are at that moment. So I encourage people, having gone through this and still here to talk about it, I encourage people to use their lifetime to come to that doorway and go, yes. As opposed to, and it all comes down to that, yes, yes, or that. And if you do that, then it's not going to stop the process. It just makes it more uncomfortable. I would not want to arrive at the door of dissolution as unprepared, I think, as most people are. It's kind of why I keep doing this. I talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. And who am I going to get through to? If I'm lucky, 2 people. Maybe more. But I'm just going to talk. And I'm not the first person to talk like this. There are a lot of people who have how to get to that point, but I don't even want to make it all about death. Because too many religions are about what happens at death. To me it's like, this is that moment. This is the time. It's about now. It's not about future. It's not about what happens at the end, because you spend your whole time waiting for the end, and what about this? Yes, they say you'll live better. You try to live according to the Ten Commandments. You do good things. All of that stuff doesn't prepare you particularly. I mean, it helps. It'll give you an easier life to unravel. But because if you've done a life of crime and hurting people, it's gonna be wound up in there, and you're gonna have to let go of that. When you face the enormous heart of the universe, let's put it that way. If there's actually a big love there to embrace you with a kind of self-hatred, that love is going to be the worst or most painful thing you've ever seen. Because you don't let it in. Because you have never opened to it. And in the end, that may be all there is. Love taking you in and you hating it as you hate yourself. Many people arrive at that moment, I believe. So, again, as I said at the beginning of this talk, everything I say is not true. But it has some level of truth, and if it speaks to you in its, dimensional form, meaning from birth to death space, then listen to it. Do what you can do. If it doesn't speak to you, fine. Who cares? But on some level I care, and on some level you care, or you wouldn't get up on a Sunday morning and come here and sit in a room and do nothing. Why would any intelligent human being do that? Come somewhere to sit still. Makes no sense. On the other hand, I can't think of a more beautiful way to spend a Sunday morning. It's potent. Stillness is potent. It brings you in touch with everything and nothing simultaneously.
I believe that there is nothing beyond this. But what makes me feel antsy is that when we go, we leave an imprint. There isn't nothing of us. We leave a tremendous imprint on this ever-changeable.
How do you know that?
Look at our children, look at our grandchildren.
How do you know they're going to survive you even at any level? I mean, when you leave, you leave. Part of what will happen when you leave is they will disintegrate as a part of your understanding of reality. Trust me, when I say there's nothing, your children will become part of nothing. Your belief system that it goes on is a belief in something happening, but I don't know that that's true. I know that makes no sense. And it's fine to want to hold on to that, and we all kind of live for future manifestation. But
we create future manifestation.
Yes, but when the time comes to go back into nothing, you will be shocked at what nothing means.
Okay, that I can accept.
So don't worry about imprints. I mean, in a sense, that imprint will be the very thing that's unraveling. The imprint of your life, your past life.
I guess I'm not thinking about where I'm going to be. I'm thinking about what's going to be left in the wake of me.
There will be nothing left.
From my perspective, yes.
Your perspective will be unraveled into nothing.
That's fine.
Great.
That's fine. But what's being created is so beautiful.
Okay, I can't argue this one because I know it doesn't make sense. The totality is only happening like that now.
Right.
Your children only exist now.
And now.
Yes, but when you're gone, now on every level will be gone. Trust me, it will just be gone.
Yeah.
Every part of your idea of motherhood, of having built a life, it's so dramatically taken away. And if you think it's surviving you on some level, that's fine. You can think that. But
it's not me that's surviving. Look, there's artists from centuries ago whose work still...
I'm taking this further than that.
I know.
One day you'll discover you are those artists. Your mind is a 16th century artist. Your mind is Shakespeare. Your mind is everything that ever was, all happening at this instant.
Well, then that's not nothing.
No, it will be.
Guys, I don't think this is going to be resolved.
Yes, it's not.
I think what Bruce is trying to say is that all consciousness ends when your consciousness ends.
More than one thing, Stephen. That's all. Look, the wonderful thing about this kind of discussion is that maybe it takes the mind into a place of curiosity and wonder and exploration. You don't have to believe what I'm saying. You don't have to. You don't have to buy into any of this. But it's so other than what we can conceptualize. It's so other. The fact that you think there's a world and you separate from it and it's still there is fine. You can believe that. My sense of, bless you, my sense of this is not that. And I can't describe what it is, except that I think the totality of nothingness is overwhelmingly powerful. So,
I just appreciate the distinction you started making between stillness, emptiness, and nothingness. And for me to sort of understand those places.
I mean, it's interesting that you make a distinction between them. They're all part of the same thing, but they are different variabilities within that.
Right, because you can be still without having a thought, but know that you're still being still during it. You could see empty space between things.
Right.
Nothingness is like entering a black hole where you have a moment where you're like, I'm entering nothing, and then when you're in nothing, there's nothing to reference. You're in nothing, so you can't experience nothing.
Exactly. In fact, one of the plays I saw ended with exactly that thing, about the black hole and the end of time and the end of everything. Exact reference point. And, you know, to talk about this for most people is so out of the realm of anything the mind can deal with that it seems speculative. It seems like these are concepts and ideas. To me, it's past concept and idea, but the only way to get into the discussion is with concept and idea. I can't take you further than that, but I do know the journey is individualized. Every one of us is on it. Every one of us will learn what I'm talking about at some point along the way, because we're all part of the same, whatever it is. And if I can just make you go, bless you, wow, wow. That's all I care about. Okay, we're going to be back here end of March, I think early April, right? Is that the plan? Early April. So it's not exactly like I want to be here every month, but we're coming for Passover. So it'll be a little extra time. But please know there's a class here every week. There's somebody, or there's nothing happening here every week. You can come and sit and share that or not. You know, I don't need to be the attractor for this. I mean, there's always a reason to be here if you want. There's always a reason to sit on your own and know this to be true and be prepared. It's going to challenge everything you know. Literally everything you know. And that's a ride, and it takes unbelievable courage to watch the deepest truths of your existence being challenged by this nothingness. It's an amazing, amazing unfolding. I thought it was like, oh, it just happens. You're part of it. You're part of the giving it up. You're part of the awareness that watches it go. It's a journey that every human being is on, and a few are aware of it. You can be one of them. Thank you.